Welcome to Sister Scoot, where we are covering the big topics of Marvel news, and we're going to get right into it with Blade updates, which they're always the same. You know, we're getting pushback, we're getting a new director, we're getting new writers, we're getting a pushback, same
It's a
updates. And
cycle.
it is. And it's going to be a cycle here, too, because they're looking at another director. And I am glad that the reference that we sent was said who he is, because I wouldn't have known. I don't know directors like that except the Russo brothers. Chad Stahelski.
That's how I would have said it.
Okay. Director of John Wick. That's the only reason I know who he is.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to lie. I haven't seen the John Wick movies, but I know
I
two
haven't
things
either.
about them. One, people really, really like them. And like they have, I don't want to say it's a cult following because it's pretty popular, but they have a really strong fan base. And two, they're very violent. And
Yeah.
for Blade as a character, I think that's a really good stylistic fit. A director who can do like really intense, gory, let's just put it out there, like action set pieces. And if he's done, what are they on now? They've done three or four. He's
I
done
don't know.
multiple very successful franchise pieces that are in a similar, at least like vein. So that to me is a good sign. And, I don't know much else about him, but from the little I do know, that feels good.
Yeah, I pretty much echo that sentiment. I think the only thing I'm going to say is I'm not going to commit to this person because there's really a track record to prove that we shouldn't. So I'm not going to sit here and expect this to actually be the director who actually makes this movie. That's all I'm going to say. No hate towards this guy. This movie just is kind of like cursed, if I'm being honest. So
And he's also like, this is a rumor. Like, it's a rumor that he is
right.
being considered. Like, it's not even like Marvel is, made the announcement that, hey, he's the new director of Blade. Maybe we'll get that at Comic-Con. I don't know. Like, at this point, he's like the third director, I think, for this film. So I don't even know if they're going to make a big announcement that they have a new director because, to your point, he's got a couple of predecessors. Hopefully he doesn't have any successors if this even is the guy. So I don't know. There's just a lot swirling, but I'm glad that like at least this indicates again that they haven't given up on the film. I know I'm excited. There's a lot of people in the fan base who are really excited. I think Mahershala Ali is going to kill it. So I really hope that, again, or I'm really glad that again we're getting these indicators that nope, we're still here, we're still committed, we're just trying to make, the right choices so that it's a really successful film.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on to more fun news. We have a date and we have a name for the fourth Spider-Man movie, and I know Taylor's excited.
Yes. So it is going to be Spider-Man Brand New Day coming out on July 31st, 2026, which is a little more than a year away. So a couple of thoughts here. One, we are breaking out of the home syntax thing, which means I'm finally going to remember the name of the film and not get it confused with all of the movies that came previously.
They're all going to be Day now. It's all going to be about Day.
They are, but until we get sequels to Brand New Day, this is the only one, and therefore I will remember it. The other thing other thing to think about that I thought was really interesting, and I know this has been floating, especially after last week's big announcement around Doomsday, a lot of people were, obviously noting the very big missing Spider-Man sized hole in the cast. And so there have been a lot of rumors saying that Brand New Day, at the time we didn't know the name, is going to be happening in parallel with Doomsday, and that's why he is not in the film. That's kind of the leading theory. Again, there's nothing that has concretely in any way indicated this, but I do want to point out that Doomsday is coming out on May 1st. So there is basically 2 months. Basically 3 months, because that's the beginning of it. Look, I went May to July, and I didn't really account for the fact that it was the end. Math is hard. Just let me go.
Okay.
So about 3 months in between, which really isn't a huge amount of time. So I could actually see, because they are coming out essentially like on top of each other, that those are kind of happening at the same time. The other thing that makes me chuckle a little bit is they are putting this out at the same kind of place that they did with Captain Marvel, and we all know how we felt about that. So
yeah,
very just curious on the timing, but I did just want to kind of put that in context into how it relates to, the other really, really big film of the year.
Yeah, I'm going to come at it from a little bit of a different angle, but one in which I think relates to what you were just saying. My concern is that this is not going to be as ground level as I think everybody was hoping it was going to be.
Yeah.
And that is the confirmation I feel like they just gave me by saying it's happening in tandem with Doomsday. And it's also, I like that you made the comparison to that kind of Miss Marvel slot of Infinity War and Endgame, where it's in between the two biggest movies of, well, at the time, comic book history.
Yeah.
So I think that's my thing that I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting because it means that theoretically we're getting a follow up to No Way Home. Rather than starting over the way I think we thought we were going to, I think we're going to see more of a multiversal effect from No Way Home, which is not really what I know us over here at Sisters Assembled. We're super hoping for it. And I think a lot of people weren't hoping for that. And I don't think Marvel was either with the way they set it up at the end of No Way Home. So obviously, this seems to have been a pivot. I'm expecting this to be multiversal at this point. What that looks like for a Spider-Man film that is happening where he's not included in the big initial team. I don't know. I don't know what this is actually going to look like. I mean, in Marvel we trust, and Kevin Feige we trust. That's what we always say. But it makes me more nervous actually than I think I should have been. Even though I was saying, are we gonna get a Spider-Man movie before? Now I'm kind of mad we are because I'm like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, it definitely is a little tough because I don't know. I mean, obviously the films don't all have to like be direct sequels in the order that they come out, but I do think it would be really jarring if you got a Doomsday and he was in Doomsday and then he was in Brand New Day and they weren't related.
Right.
That would be, or like they were not parallel, and like one was taking place, like say Doomsday takes place before Brand New Day, because they've done that before, right, where things
Right.
are prequels. Like that would just be weird. So including him in Doomsday seems almost weird now, so he almost has to be out of it. But then to your point, like if you're going to tell a story that's completely agnostic of Doomsday, then you're basically going into Captain Marvel territory unless you get an end credit.
Right.
And so like there is, I guess, an opportunity to still do the grounded thing, but if you do that, you're completely like truncating, not even, no, you're like bisecting like what should be a movie that leads right into Secret Wars. Again, though, that's been the formula once. We don't know that they're going to do that again. I don't know. I just don't know. They put themselves in a pickle. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, it's gonna be an exciting few months, but I'm nervy. And
Yeah.
with that, I'm gonna move on to something that didn't make me excited, which I also know. Oh my god, the look of murder that just went on your face. I know it didn't make Taylor excited by any means. We got timing for Beyond the Spider-Verse, and quite frankly, I'm gonna look Sony dead in the eyes. I'm your biggest hater, and you know that. But really, 2027? What? That's disgusting.
I like don't even know. When I saw that, like I was, picture this. I am in bed. I'm about to open a book. It is like my happy time of night where I'm about to relax.
It was
and
late. It was relaxing time. Yeah.
It was relaxing time. I was about to like open a book. I was feeling amazing. I had like my scented pillow ready. I was like, yes. And then I see this and I went full Hulk. I was so mad.
Yeah.
What have they been doing for 2 years? Like it was supposed to come out like in 2023, I think, or last year, 2024.
Yeah.
It was supposed to come out in 2024. What have they been doing for the last year? Sorry, the strike ended years ago. It's over now. It's been over for a long time. What were they doing for the last year? This is I understand that like the animation takes a long time. I do not want to dismiss that. But like 4 years? What have you been doing? And then you're going to lose all this momentum.
Well, I think some of the problem for me is don't tell me that the movie's coming out a year afterwards. And again, I understood initially when you had delays from unforeseen things like the strikes. Yeah. I get that. That's different. But when you initially say your timing is a year, you set the expectation that you can make that movie in a year. putting aside weird things that happened. Obviously, those weird things happened, and we took the initial, sorry guys, it's gonna have to be delayed, whatever. We took it. We all took it in stride. It was sad news. We all want to see it, but it was what it was. The fact that it is early 2025, because I know it's April. I'm still counting it as early 2025. I don't really know where the rest of the year went anyway. And you're telling me I have 2 more years to wait for this movie now is crazy to me.
It's
and
insane.
Quite frankly, I don't care anymore. That sounds horrible. I have forgotten half of the second movie already. I don't have the urge. Like, I'm going to obviously watch it and I'm going to be excited for it when we're getting there. But I don't have the urge for it anymore. I'm not asking for it anymore. They could never make it and I'd forget about it. That's how bad this has gotten.
Y'all know, if you have been around since 2023, when we did our episodes around, or I think it was just one episode, reacting to Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
I was pretty sure that was the best thing I'd ever seen in my whole life. Like, that became my personality for like most of summer 2023. I forgot that this was even supposed to come out. Me,
yeah, same.
Of all people.
That's what I mean. We run in, and I mean, you of all people, yes. But even us as a podcast, we run in Marvel circles endlessly. That is who we are. Like, my day-to-day is eat, sleep, breathe Marvel things. That is just the truth of it. And the fact that I am sitting here at this point saying, I really don't care. You lost me.
Well, and then here's the thing, and this is the last thing I'll say about it. I am angry. No, there's a lot of things I want to say about it, but not all of them are things that I want to say on the internet. But there's a level of frustration here that I cannot explain. But you all know I had laid out the perfect entrance for Miles Morales in live action. And I'm not saying they had to do it my way. I'm just saying my way was kind of perfect and like the best thing that they could do. It's just like perfect storytelling. And like, I'm really upset that they didn't hire me for it. But to put in context the same way I did for Spider-Man 4, we're looking at June 4th, 2027. Well, May 7th, 2027 is Secret Wars, which means you're not going to include Miles Morales in live action in Secret Wars, most likely. The rage that he's actually in that comic interacting with 616 Peter Parker. How? Like, I actually cannot form an actual thought because I am so enraged by the fact that they're going to miss this opportunity because whatever is happening at Sony Animation. Like, that to me is like the biggest L you can take. And I'm just so frustrated. And I will probably have something more eloquent to say when I have worked through some of my rage and gone to therapy about this. But I am just so mad. Like, I didn't even have to be my way, but Miles needed to be in Secret Wars. And this, like, they're not going to pull out a live action Miles before they finish up his animated trilogy. They're just not. And now they've basically said, through this, they've confirmed that they're not going to have a live action Miles in Secret Wars. And that is just mind-bogglingly enraging.
Well, and on that beautiful note, we're going to wrap up this week's Sister Scoop. But just know we have strong emotions about this very large delay.
Yeah.
Either way, join us next week for maybe some more exciting Marvel news. And we are obviously podcast-wise still covering Daredevil Born Again. So make sure you are also keeping up with the show and our show on that because lots happening on that front as well. Lots of busy things. So we will see you guys next week. And until then, have a great time because we're not right now. See ya.